Have you ever had an animal choose you when you needed it most? This stray cat avoided me for 8 months. She'd run if I even looked at her. But the night my world fell apart, something incredible happened. She didn't just let me touch her, she saved my life. And what I discovered about this cat 3 weeks later will blow your mind. But first, let me tell you how it all started. My name is Emma, and I live in a small apartment complex in Portland. Nothing fancy, just one of those old brick buildings with narrow hallways and creaky stairs. The kind of place where everyone minds their own business. 8 months ago, I first saw her, a small gray tabby with white paws, sitting by the dumpster behind our building. She was so thin I could see her ribs through her matted fur. My heart broke looking at her. I've always been a cat person, and seeing any animal suffer just destroys me, so I did what any cat lover would do. I went upstairs and grabbed some food. But the moment I stepped outside with that bowl, she bolted, gone, like she'd never been there at all. That should have been the end of it, but something about her stuck with me. Maybe it was the way she looked at me for just a split second before running, like she wanted to trust me but couldn't. So I started leaving food out every day, same spot by the dumpster, same time, 6 p.m., right after I got home from work. Day after day, I'd set down that bowl and walk away. And day after day, when I checked later, the food would be gone. But I never saw her eat it, not once. It was like having a ghost cat. Now, I should probably tell you what was going on in my life during this time, because it's important for understanding why what happened later was so significant. I was working at a marketing firm downtown, had been for 3 years. It wasn't my dream job, but it paid the bills, and my boss, Janet, seemed to like my work. Or so I thought. See, what I didn't know was that Janet had been documenting every tiny mistake I made, every time I was 2 minutes late, every email that wasn't perfectly worded, every project that took longer than expected. She was building a case to fire me, and I had no idea. Meanwhile, my daily routine with the mystery cat continued. Food out at 6 p.m., food gone by morning. No sightings. But I started talking to her anyway. Sounds crazy, right? Talking to a cat I couldn't even see? Don't judge me. We've all done weirder things. I'd set down the bowl and say things like, "Hey there, little one. Hope you're staying warm tonight." Or, "I got you the good stuff today. Salmon pate. You're gonna love it." And slowly, something started to change. I began noticing little signs. A paw print in the mud near the bowl. A few gray hairs caught on the fence. Once, I swear I saw a flash of white paws disappearing around the corner. She was getting braver, or maybe I was getting more patient. Either way, we were making progress. Then came the worst day of my life. It was a Tuesday in November, cold, rainy, miserable. I should have known something bad was coming just from the weather. I walked into work that morning feeling pretty good. I just finished a big project for our biggest client, and I thought Janet would be pleased. Instead, she called me into her office at 9 a.m. "Emma, we need to talk." Those 4 words that every employee dreads. I sat down across from her desk, and she slid a folder toward me. "We're letting you go, effective immediately." I just stared at her. What? Why? I don't understand. That's when she opened that folder, page after page of documented infractions, things so minor I'd forgotten about them. A meeting I'd been 3 minutes late to 6 months ago, an email where I'd used hi instead of dear to address a client. It was like she'd been hunting for reasons to fire me, and she'd finally collected enough to justify it. "This is about the Henderson account, isn't it?" I said. The Henderson account was huge, a 6-figure contract that I'd landed and managed for 2 years. But Janet's nephew had just graduated college, and he needed a job. Janet didn't even deny it, just shrugged and said, "Business is business, Emma." 20 minutes later, I was being escorted out by security. 3 years of my life packed into a cardboard box. I sat in my car in the parking lot, rain pounding on the windshield, and tried to process what had just happened. No job, no savings. I'd been living paycheck to paycheck, rent due 2 weeks. That's when I started crying. Not just tears, full-on sobbing, the kind of crying that comes from your soul. I don't even remember driving home. Next thing I knew, I was sitting on the stairs outside my apartment building, still in my work clothes, still holding that stupid cardboard box. And that's when I saw her, the gray tabby. She was sitting about 10 feet away, just watching me. I was too broken to care about scaring her away. I just kept crying, letting all the fear and anger and disappointment pour out of me. But instead of running like she always did, she started walking toward me, step by step, cautious but determined. And then, for the first time in 8 months, she let me touch me. She rubbed against my leg, purring so loud I could hear it over my sobs. I lost it completely. This little cat, who'd been afraid of me for months, was comforting me in my darkest moment. But that was just the beginning. What happened next changed everything. She stayed with me for hours, right there on those cold concrete steps. Every time I tried to get up, she'd meow and rub against me, like she was saying, "Not yet, you're not ready yet." And you know what? She was right. I needed that time to fall apart completely before I could start putting myself back together. Eventually, it got dark and cold. I knew I had to go inside, but I couldn't bear the thought of leaving her out there. So I did something I'd never done before. I opened my apartment door and asked, "Want to come in?" She looked at the open door, then at me, then back at the door, and she walked right in, like she'd been waiting 8 months for an invitation. That night, she slept curled up next to me on the couch. First time in months I didn't feel completely alone. When I woke up, I half expected her to be gone, like maybe I'd dreamed the whole thing. But there she was, sitting by the window, watching the sunrise. I knew I had to give her a name, but what do you call a cat that shows up exactly when you need her most? Then it hit me. Hope. Her name was Hope, because that's what she'd given me when I had none left. Of course, having a cat meant responsibilities, food, litter box, vet visits, all things that cost money I didn't have. The next few weeks were brutal. Job applications, interviews, rejections, my savings account getting smaller every day. But every morning, Hope would sit with me while I searched for jobs. Every evening, she'd curl up next to me while I worried about the future. Having her there made the fear bearable, like I wasn't facing this crisis alone anymore. But Hope had some strange habits, things that didn't make sense for a stray cat. She knew how to open doors, not just push them, actually turn handles with her paws. She'd sit by the phone before it rang, every single time. And she was incredibly picky about food, not in a spoiled way, but like she'd been trained to avoid certain things. It was like she'd lived with people before. But if that was true, why was she living on the streets? 3 weeks after Hope moved in, I finally got a job interview that went well, really well. The hiring manager, Sarah, seemed impressed with my portfolio. We talked for over an hour about marketing strategies and campaign ideas. "I'd like to offer you the position. When can you start?" I practically floated home. First good news in months. "Hope," I called out as I opened the door. "We did it! I got the job!" But instead of her usual greeting, Hope was hiding under the coffee table, trembling. "What's wrong, girl?" I knelt down and reached for her. She backed away from me. For the first time since that night on the stairs, she seemed afraid. But afraid of what? Nothing had changed, nothing was different. Except I was wearing a new perfume, a sample I'd gotten at the department store before my interview. The moment I washed it off, Hope came out of hiding. It wasn't just any perfume that scared her. It was that specific scent, like she'd had a bad experience with it. Who was Hope before she found me, and what happened to her to make her so afraid? I started my new job the following Monday. Great company, nice people, work I actually enjoyed. But the best part was coming home to Hope every evening. She'd meet me at the door, purring and rubbing against my legs like she'd missed me all day. We developed our own little routine: dinner together, TV on the couch, her curled up next to me while I read. For the first time in years, I felt truly happy. Then came the knock on my door. It was a Saturday morning. I wasn't expecting anyone. Hope immediately ran and hid under the bed. I looked through the peephole and saw an elderly woman I didn't recognize. She looked upset. "Can I help you?" I asked through the door. "Please," she said, "I'm looking for my cat. Someone said they saw her around this building." My heart stopped. What does she look like? Gray tabby with white paws. She's been missing for almost a year. Hope wasn't a stray. She was someone's lost pet. I stood there, frozen. This poor woman was clearly heartbroken, but Hope was my family now. She'd saved me when I froze, literally froze like a deer in headlights. This was it. I was going to get arrested, banned from the hospital, and Emma would never forgive me. But when I turned around, Margaret wasn't angry. She was curious. "Is that what I think it is?" she whispered, looking at the carrier. I could have lied, should have lied. Instead, I just nodded and started crying again. "My sister is dying," I whispered back, "and this cat is the only thing that's ever made her smile since she got sick." Margaret stared at me for what felt like forever. Then she did something that changed everything. She smiled. "Room 314, right? Your sister Emma?" When I nodded, she continued, "I've been her night nurse for 2 weeks. That little girl talks about Luna constantly." And then Margaret did something incredible. She became my accomplice. "Follow me," she whispered, "and if anyone asks, you're here for emotional support therapy. It's a real program, just not usually at 2 a.m. with unauthorized cats." I almost laughed despite everything. Here was this by-the-book nurse helping me break every rule in the hospital handbook. But that's the thing about people who work with sick kids. They understand that sometimes healing requires more than medicine. We reached Emma's room and Margaret quietly opened the door. Emma was awake. She'd been having trouble sleeping since the surgery was scheduled. "Emma, honey," Margaret whispered, "your sister brought someone to see you." Emma turned toward us, and when she saw the carrier in my arms, her eyes went wide. What happened next, I still get chills thinking about it. I opened the carrier and Luna poked her head out. She looked around the room, taking in all the machines, the beeping, the antiseptic smell. For a moment, I was terrified she'd panic. Hospital rooms aren't exactly cat-friendly environments. But then Luna saw Emma. She jumped out of that carrier like she'd been shot from a cannon and went straight to Emma's bed. Emma started crying, happy tears this time. She reached out with her good arm and Luna just knew. She knew to be gentle. She knew to avoid the IV lines. She knew exactly where to curl up so Emma could pet her without straining. And that's when I realized something profound about animals and healing. There's actual research on this, pet therapy in hospitals. Studies show that interacting with animals lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety, releases endorphins. But watching Luna with Emma, I saw something the studies can't measure. I saw hope returning to my sister's eyes. For the next hour, Luna stayed curled up next to Emma, purring so loudly the sound almost drowned out the heart monitor. And something amazing started happening. Emma's vitals improved. Her breathing became less labored. The tension in her face relaxed for the first time in weeks. Margaret was monitoring everything, and I could see the amazement in her eyes, too. "She missed me," Emma whispered, stroking Luna's fur. "I was so scared she'd forget about me." "I was scared you'd forget about me, too," I admitted. Emma looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw my little sister again. Not the sick kid in the hospital bed, but Emma, my Emma. "I could never forget you," she said. "You brought Luna to me even when I was mean to you." But our magical moment was interrupted by reality. Margaret checked her watch and gave me a meaningful look. "Shift change in 20 minutes, she whispered. "Day staff won't be as flexible about the rules." Getting Luna back in that carrier was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Emma clung to her, and Luna seemed to understand something was wrong. But as I was leaving, Margaret pulled me aside and said something that gave me hope. "There's a family conference room on the 3rd floor," she quieted. "It's usually empty during visiting hours. If someone were to bring a therapy animal there for emotional support sessions—" She didn't finish the sentence, but I understood. We'd found a way to make this work. Over the next 2 weeks, Luna and I became regular visitors to that conference room. Emma would be wheeled down in her wheelchair, and for an hour each day, she got to be a normal kid playing with her cat. And something incredible started happening. Emma started getting better. Not just physically, though her appetite improved and she slept better, but emotionally, she was fighting again. She started asking about going home, started making plans for when she was better, started talking about the future instead of just surviving each day. The day of Emma's surgery, I brought Luna to the conference room early. Emma was scheduled for 8 a.m., and she was terrified. We created a little ritual. Emma would tell Luna all the things they were going to do together when she got better. Luna would purr and headbutt Emma's hand like she was making promises. When they came to take Emma to surgery, Emma looked at Luna and said, "Wait for me, okay? I'm coming back." And I swear Luna meowed back like she was saying, "I promise." The surgery took 6 hours. 6 hours of pacing, praying, and Luna sitting in the conference room like she was keeping vigil. Margaret checked on us every hour. Other staff members started bringing Luna treats. Word had spread about the therapy cat who was helping the little girl in 314. When Dr. Rodriguez finally came out, his face was unreadable. My parents and I held our breath. "The surgery went well," he said, and we all exhaled at once. I have to say, Emma's will to fight has been remarkable these past few weeks. Whatever you've been doing to keep her spirits up, keep doing it. If only he knew about our secret weapon sleeping in the conference room. Emma woke up groggy and disoriented, but the first word out of her mouth was Luna. Margaret, bless her rule-breaking heart, wheeled Emma down to the conference room as soon as she was stable enough. Luna took one look at Emma, pale, bandaged, but alive, and very gently climbed onto her lap. She seemed to know exactly how fragile Emma was, and Emma smiled, a real, genuine smile for the first time since her diagnosis. Emma's recovery was faster than anyone expected. She was walking within days, eating solid food, asking when she could go home. But there was one problem we hadn't considered. What would happen to Luna when Emma came home? My parents and I had avoided talking about it, but we couldn't ignore it forever. Our apartment had a strict no pets policy. Emma didn't know yet. She just assumed Luna would come home with her. How do you tell a kid who just survived cancer that she can't keep the cat who helped save her life? That's when I did something that surprised even me. I called our landlord. Mr. Peterson was not known for his flexibility. He'd turned down every pet request in the building's history. But when I explained the situation, Emma's illness, Luna's role in her recovery, the fact that this cat literally helped save my sister's life, something changed in his voice. "Bring me a letter from the doctor," he said quietly. "If he says the cat is medically necessary for your sister's recovery, we'll call it a therapy animal." Dr. Rodriguez didn't hesitate. He wrote a letter explaining how animal therapy had been crucial to Emma's healing and recommended continued contact for her emotional well-being. The day Emma came home from the hospital, Luna was waiting for her. We'd spent the week cat-proofing the apartment, buying supplies, setting up a little bed by Emma's window where Luna could watch the birds. When Emma walked through that door and saw Luna sitting on her bed like she belonged, she burst into tears. Good tears this time, pure joy tears. But living with Luna taught us things we never knew about her during our stairwell encounters. Turns out, Luna was incredibly smart. She learned Emma's medication schedule and would sit by her bed every morning at pill time. She seemed to sense when Emma was having a bad day and would stay extra close. And she was fiercely protective of Emma. If Emma cried, Luna would immediately appear and start purring. If Emma had nightmares, Luna would wake her up with gentle headbutts. But the most amazing thing Luna did happened about a month after Emma came home. Emma was having a particularly rough day. The reality of her illness was hitting her, the scars, the ongoing treatments, the fear that the cancer might come back. She was crying in her room, and I didn't know how to help her. Nothing I said seemed to make it better. That's when Luna did something she'd never done before. She left Emma's side and went to the closet, started pawing at something on the floor. Emma and I looked at each other confused. Luna had never shown interest in the closet before. We followed her, and she led us to a box I'd forgotten about, a box of Emma's things from before she got sick. Inside were photos, drawings, little mementos from when Emma was healthy, things that reminded us of who she was beyond her illness. Luna had somehow known that Emma needed to remember her whole self, not just the sick version. And that's when I understood something profound about healing. It's not just about getting better physically, it's about remembering who you are when you're not defined by your illness. From that day forward, Emma started reclaiming pieces of herself. She started drawing again, started talking about school, about friends, about the future. The cancer treatments continued for months, but Emma faced them differently now. She had Luna. Sometimes it comes as a doctor who writes letters, or hospital staff who bring treats to therapy cats, or strangers who donate to animal shelters. The world is full of Lunas, waiting for the right moment to show us love. So here's what I want you to do after watching this video. Look around your life. Notice the love that's already there, the quiet, steady love that shows up without fanfare. And if you're in a dark place right now, if you're crying on your own set of stairs, know that your Luna is out there. Maybe she's already closer than you think. Emma wanted me to end this video with something she wrote. She's 16 now, and she has a way with words that amazes me. To anyone watching this who feels alone, you're not. Love is everywhere, even in the places that seem empty. Sometimes it takes a crisis to open our hearts enough to see it, but it's always been there, waiting for us to be ready. Thank you for listening to our story. Thank you for believing in the power of love to heal. And thank you for being part of a world where stray cats can become family and broken hearts can become whole again. That's my sister, cancer survivor, cat mom, and wise beyond her years. As I'm recording this, Luna is sleeping in a patch of sunlight by the window, and Emma is doing homework at the kitchen table. It's a perfectly ordinary Tuesday afternoon, and it's absolutely perfect. 3 years ago, I thought I was going to lose my sister. Instead, I gained a deeper understanding of what family really means. Family isn't just blood. It's the beings who choose to love you, who show up in your darkest moments, who purr you back to health. Luna is 12 years old now, which is getting up there for a cat, but she's healthy, happy, and still the queen of our household. Sometimes I worry about what will happen when she's no longer with us. How will we cope with losing the cat who saved our family? But then I remember what Luna taught me about love and timing and trust. When the time comes to say goodbye, we'll be ready. Because Luna didn't just save Emma's life, she taught us how to love without fear. She taught us that love is worth the risk of loss, that opening your heart, even when you're scared, is always the right choice. And when Luna is gone, her love will live on in the way we treat other strays, other broken hearts, other souls who need a safe place to land. Emma and I volunteer at the animal shelter now. We help socialize cats who are afraid of humans, who have been hurt or abandoned. We tell them Luna's story. We show them that trust is possible, that love is worth the risk, that sometimes the best families are the ones we choose. And sometimes when I'm sitting with a scared cat who won't let me touch her, I think about that night on the stairs. How pain has this weird way of breaking down walls we didn't even know we'd built. How vulnerability can be the bridge between two broken souls. But there's something else I learned that night, something that changed how I see every stray cat, every wounded animal, every person who's been hurt too many times to trust easily. They're not broken, they're just careful, and there's a difference. Broken things can't be fixed. But careful things, they just need the right person to prove that not everyone will hurt them. That's why I do what I do now, why I spend my evenings on apartment stairs and fire escapes, waiting for cats who might never let me touch them. Because 3 years after that night with Shadow, something happened that made me realize this was bigger than just one cat, bigger than just my grief. I started noticing them everywhere. The strays, the ferals, the ones who'd been abandoned or abused or just forgotten. And I started seeing myself in every single one of them. See, I hadn't just been grieving my mom. I'd been carrying around 15 years of guilt about Emma, 15 years of wondering if I could have done something different. But that night on the stairs, when Shadow finally trusted me enough to let me hold her, something shifted, not just in her, in me. I realized that healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about learning to trust again, learning to love again, learning that not everyone will leave. Which brings me to the call I got last Tuesday. "There's a cat," the voice said. "She's been living under the old Miller house for months, won't let anyone near her. Animal control wants to trap her, but I knew what that meant, and I knew I had to try." The Miller house had been abandoned for 2 years. Broken windows, overgrown yard, the kind of place where forgotten things go to hide. And there she was, a small, tortoise-shelled cat, probably 2 years old, crouched under the front porch. Her fur was matted, her eyes were wild, and she had that look I'd seen so many times before. The look that said, "I've been hurt, and I won't let it happen again." Now, here's what most people don't understand about feral cats. They think it's about food. Put out some kibble, wait for them to get hungry enough to trust you. But it's not about food. It's about safety. It's about proving that you're not a threat, that you're not going to hurt them or trap them or take away their freedom. So I did what I always do. I sat down, not too close, not too far, just present. Day 1, she watched me from under the porch, didn't move, didn't eat, just watched. Day 2, she came out while I was there, stayed about 10 feet away, but she came out. Day 3, she ate while I was sitting there, still 10 feet away, but progress. Day 4, she was gone. I sat there for 3 hours, nothing, no sign of her anywhere. And that's when I started to worry. Because disappearing isn't always about fear. Sometimes it's about something worse. I spent the next 2 days searching under every porch, behind every shed, in every hiding spot I could think of. And then I heard it, a sound that made my blood run cold. Crying, weak, desperate crying from inside the Miller house. The front door was boarded up, but there was a broken window on the side. I squeezed through, cutting my arm on the glass, and followed the sound. The house was dark, musty, filled with the kind of silence that feels heavy, but the crying was getting louder. I found her in what used to be the kitchen. She was lying on her side, barely moving, and I could see why she'd disappeared. She was giving birth, alone, scared, in an abandoned house with no one to help. Now, I'm not a vet. I'm not trained for this, but I knew she needed help, and I knew animal control wouldn't get there in time. So I did the only thing I could do. I sat down next to her and started talking. "Hey, Mama," I whispered. "I know you're scared. I know you don't trust me, but I'm not going anywhere, okay? You don't have to do this alone." She looked at me with those wild eyes, and for a moment I thought she might try to run, but she was too weak, too focused on what was happening to her body. And then something amazing happened. She reached out her paw and touched my hand, just like Shadow had done that night on the stairs, just like my mom had done in the hospital, a touch that said, "I trust you, I need you, please don't leave me." The next 4 hours were the longest of my life. 3 kittens, 2 made it. I held the one that didn't make it, and I cried for that tiny life that never got a chance, for all the animals who die alone and scared, for my mom, for Emma, for every loss that still hurt. But the mama cat, I started calling her Grace, she let me help her clean the surviving kittens, let me make sure they were breathing, nursing, safe. And when it was over, when her babies were tucked against her belly and she was finally resting, she did something that broke my heart in the best way. She purred. This cat who never let a human touch her, who had given birth in an abandoned house, who had every reason to fear me, purred. That's when I understood what I'd been doing all these years. It wasn't about saving cats, it was about saving myself. Every time I sat with a scared animal, I was sitting with my own fear. Every time I earned their trust, I was learning to trust again. Every time I helped them heal, I was healing something in myself. Grace and her babies came home with me that night. She's still here, actually, still a little skittish with strangers, but she follows me around the house like a shadow. Ironically, she's become best friends with Shadow, 2 former strays who found their way to safety, teaching each other that home is a real thing. The kittens, I named them Hope and Chance. They're adopted by a wonderful family who sends me pictures every week. They're spoiled, loved, and completely unaware that they almost didn't make it. But Grace's story isn't unique. Every week I get calls about cats who need help, cats who've been abandoned, abused, forgotten. Do you know how many stray and feral cats there are in this country? Estimates range from 30 to 80 million. That's more cats than there are people in most states. And most of them will never know what it feels like to be safe, to be loved, to fall asleep without wondering if they'll wake up. But some of them will, because there are people who care. Maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you've seen a stray cat in your neighborhood and wondered if you should help. Here's what I've learned. Start small. Don't try to catch them or force contact. Just be present, be consistent, be patient. Put out food and water, but don't expect them to eat while you're watching. Sit nearby and read a book, check your phone, just exist in their space without being a threat. It might take days, it might take weeks, but if you're consistent, if you're patient, if you show them that you're safe, they'll start to trust. And when they do, when that scared, hurt animal finally lets you touch them, finally purrs in your presence, finally chooses to trust you despite everything they've been through, it changes you. It teaches you about resilience, about hope, about the incredible capacity for healing that exists in all of us. I'm not the same person I was that night on the stairs 3 years ago. I'm not carrying around the same guilt, the same fear, the same walls I'd built to protect myself. Because every cat I've helped has taught me something. Shadow taught me about patience. Grace taught me about courage. Midnight taught me about persistence. And together, they've taught me the most important lesson of all. We're all just looking for someone who won't give up on us. Whether you're a stray cat hiding under a porch or a person sitting alone on apartment stairs crying over losses you can't change, we all need someone who will sit with us in our fear and not try to fix us, just love us. Right now, as I'm telling you this story, there's a new cat outside my window, a gray tabby who showed up 2 days ago. She won't let me near her yet, but she's watching. Tomorrow, I'll sit on my porch with a book and a cup of coffee. I won't try to approach her. I won't call to her. I'll just be there. And maybe, if I'm patient enough, if I'm consistent enough, if I can prove to her that I'm safe, she'll take that first step toward trust. Because that's how healing works. Not all at once, not with grand gestures or dramatic moments, but slowly, carefully, one small act of faith at a time. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't cried on those stairs that night, if Shadow hadn't seen my vulnerability and decided I was safe. Would I have found my way to this work? Would I have learned to trust again? Would I have discovered that helping others heal is the best way to heal yourself? I don't know, but I'm grateful I don't have to find out. And sometimes, when I'm sitting with a scared cat who won't let me touch her, I think about that night on the stairs, how vulnerability can be a bridge, how sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you broken. Shadow's been with me for 3 years now. She sleeps on my pillow every night, follows me around the house, and purrs so loud the neighbors can probably hear her. But you know what the most amazing part is? She still remembers that night. Sometimes when I'm having a bad day, she'll come sit with me, exactly like she did on those stairs, like she's returning the favor. Animals remember kindness. They remember the moment you showed them your heart, and they never forget the people who saved them. But here's what I learned from Shadow that changed everything about how I see the world. Trust isn't something you give or take. It's something you earn, moment by moment, choice by choice. And sometimes, the most important trust you'll ever build happens when you're at your lowest point. That night on the stairs, I wasn't trying to gain Shadow's trust. I was just being human. I was being real. I was being vulnerable. And that's when she knew I was safe. Think about it. How many times have you tried to force a connection with someone? How many times have you put on a mask, pretended to be perfect, tried to impress someone into liking you? But the deepest connections happen when we drop the act, when we let people see our tears, our fears, our broken places. Shadow taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of trust, courage, and love. But there's more to Shadow's story, something I haven't told you yet that will blow your mind. Remember how I said she was pregnant when I found her? Well, what happened to those kittens is a story that still gives me chills. 2 weeks after that night on the stairs, Shadow started acting strange. She was restless, pacing around the apartment, looking for something. I knew she was close to giving birth, but I had no idea what was coming. At 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of crying, not meowing, crying, like a baby crying. I found Shadow in my closet, and she had given birth to 5 tiny kittens, but one of them wasn't moving. The smallest kitten, a little gray one that looked just like Shadow, was barely breathing. She was so tiny, so fragile. I thought for sure she wouldn't make it. But Shadow did something that still amazes me. She picked up that tiny kitten and brought it to me. She placed it right in my hands and looked at me like she was saying, "Please help her." This cat who wouldn't let me touch her 2 weeks ago was now trusting me with her baby's life. I spent the next 48 hours feeding that kitten with a tiny syringe every 2 hours. Shadow never left my side. She watched everything I did, like she was learning. And you know what? That little kitten survived. We named her Hope. Hope is now 3 years old, and she's the most affectionate cat you've ever seen. She has no fear of humans because she was saved by a human. She was loved from her very first breath. But here's the incredible part. Shadow kept all 5 of the kittens. Usually, stray cats will abandon weak babies to save the stronger ones, but Shadow fought for every single one of them. And I think it's because she learned something that night on the stairs. She learned that sometimes when you're at your weakest, that's when help arrives. She learned that vulnerability can save you. Today, I have 6 cats, Shadow, Hope, and her 4 siblings, Faith, Joy, Peace, and Love. Yes, I named them after emotions because that's what they brought into my life. My friends think I'm crazy. 6 cats? Are you trying to become the neighborhood cat lady? But you know what? I don't care. These cats saved me just as much as I saved them. They taught me about trust, about patience, about unconditional love. But most importantly, they taught me that sometimes the best things in life come to you when you're sitting on the stairs, crying, feeling like your world is falling apart. And that's why I want to tell you something important. If you're going through a hard time right now, if you're sitting on your own metaphorical stairs, crying and feeling alone, don't give up. Sometimes help comes in the form you least expect. Sometimes it's a stray cat. Sometimes it's a stranger who smiles at you. Sometimes it's a friend who calls at exactly the right moment. But it always comes. Always. There's actually science behind this. Researchers call it post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that people can emerge from trauma stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. That's exactly what happened to me. Losing my job, going through that breakup, feeling like a failure, it all led me to that moment on the stairs. And that moment led me to Shadow. And Shadow led me to a completely different life. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I'm stronger. I'm more patient. I'm more open to unexpected connections. And here's something wild. I actually changed careers because of Shadow. I became a veterinarian technician. I work at an animal rescue now, helping scared, abandoned animals learn to trust again. Every day, I get to be the person I needed that night on the stairs. I get to show frightened animals that humans can be safe, that love is possible, that there's hope even in the darkest moments. And it all started with one stray cat who saw me crying and decided I was safe. Just last week, a woman brought in a cat she'd found hiding under her car. The cat was terrified, wouldn't eat, wouldn't let anyone near her. Sound familiar? I sat with that cat for hours. I didn't try to touch her. I just talked to her, told her she was safe, let her see that I wasn't a threat. And finally, after 3 hours, she reached out one tiny paw and touched my finger. I started crying right there in the exam room because I saw Shadow in that cat's eyes. I saw myself in that moment of tentative trust. That cat went home with a loving family 2 days later, and I know she's going to be okay because someone took the time to earn her trust. That's what Shadow taught me, that trust is earned in moments, that love grows in the spaces between fear and hope. And sometimes the most important thing you can do is just sit with someone in their pain. I used to think strength meant never showing weakness. Now I know real strength is showing up authentically, even when you're broken, especially when you're broken. And you know what's funny? This lesson changed how I approach all my relationships, with friends, with family, with romantic partners. I started dating again about a year after I found Shadow, and on my first date with my now boyfriend, I told him about that night on the stairs. I told him about crying, about feeling like a failure, about how a stray cat taught me about vulnerability. Most guys would have run for the hills, but if this story touched you, please share it, because somewhere out there, someone is crying on the stairs thinking they're alone, and they need to know that their shadow is coming. And if you have your own story about an unexpected connection, about vulnerability leading to love, about an animal that changed your life, I want to hear it. Share it in the comments below. Because these stories matter. They remind us that we're not alone. They give us hope when we're sitting on our own stairs, wondering if anyone will ever understand. If you want to hear more stories like this, stories about real life, real struggles, and real hope, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because I believe in the power of sharing our broken places. I believe in the healing that happens when we tell the truth about our lives. I believe in the magic of unexpected connections. And I believe that your story, whatever it is, however messy, however painful, has the power to save someone else who's sitting on the stairs, crying, thinking they're alone. So tell your story, share your tears, let people see your real self. Because you never know when your vulnerability might be exactly what someone else needs to start trusting again. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for caring about a stray cat and a broken woman who found each other on a dark night. And thank you for being part of a community that believes in second chances, in unexpected love, and in the power of showing up authentically even when it's scary. Now go find your own stairs. Go sit with someone who's crying. Go be someone's shadow. The world needs more people who understand that sometimes the most important thing you can do is just be present in someone's pain. Until next time, keep your hearts open to unexpected connections. Keep your eyes open for the strays of the world, both human and animal, who need someone to sit with them in their fear. And remember, your vulnerability is not your weakness. It's your superpower.